Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rundown. It's Friday, the 20th of June 2025. Now let's start off today's program with a headline-making story. That's Donald Trump considering 2 weeks time period or deadline of 2 weeks for Iran and for Iran to come to the negotiating table. Now President Donald Trump will decide in the next 2 weeks whether the US will get involved in the Iran-Israeli air war. The White House said earlier this morning, raising pressure on Tehran to come to the negotiating table. Now, citing a message from Trump, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said, quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks," unquote. Here's a look at the press briefing.
Thanks, Kelly. Just to clarify the president's statement just now, when he says that he'll make a decision in the next 2 weeks, is he saying that if Iran does not come back to the negotiating table within the next 2 weeks, that the president will strike?
The president is saying that he will make a decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. It's very clear and direct.
And is he seeing any signs of progress? He obviously is holding out hope for negotiations, but is he seeing any inklings of progress that give him that hope that talks are still possible?
Well, that's why he said in the statement that I just read for all of you, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, he will make that decision within the next 2 weeks.
What makes him think there's still a substantial chance, is my question.
I'm not going to get into the reasoning and the rationale the president believes that, but that's his position, and he will make a decision within the next 2 weeks.
Caroline.
Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. President Trump has said previously in regard to Russia, he's used this phrase about 2 weeks several times in terms of like, we expect like a 2 week deadline and then you give another 2 week deadline. How can we be sure that he's going to stick to this one on making a decision on Iran?
Well, in those deadlines, as you've seen in respect to Russia-Ukraine, might I add, these are two very different, complicated global conflicts, as you know, that the president inherited from our previous incompetent president in the weakness of the previous administration. And the president has spent a tremendous amount of time and effort cleaning up these crises that were caused by the last administration's just complete dereliction of duty on the world stage and American weakness. Now we have American strength again.
That was White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt speaking to reporters in Washington, D.C. earlier this morning. Now, earlier, Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister had told the BBC it would cause hell in the region if the US got involved, adding, quote-unquote, "This is not America's war." The news comes 24 hours after Trump said he had not made up his mind on joining the conflict. Now, Trump and his administration have sought to maintain an air of strategic ambiguity, not revealing much publicly about their thinking or potential course of action. Now, the US president is reportedly considering strikes on the Iranian nuclear site Fordo, a subterranean uranium enrichment facility. Iran insists Fordo is used for civilian purposes only. Now, the site's location, hidden away in a mountainside, puts it out of range of Israel's weaponry. Only the US is considered to have a bomb that may be large enough to destroy Fordo. Now, diplomatic efforts are underway as the conflict continues, with European foreign ministers set to meet with Iranian counterpart in Switzerland today. Trump's 2 week deadline comes after a hospital in southern Israel was hit during an Iranian missile attack on Thursday morning. Now, Iranian state media reported that the strike targeted a military site next to the hospital and not the facility itself. Now, Israel has said that 24 people have been killed in the country since the start of the conflict. Iranian state media last updated their death toll on Sunday, June 15th, when it said 224 people had been killed. Now, human rights activist news agency HRANA, a Washington-based human rights organization that has long tracked Iran, has said that 639 people have been killed in Iran since Friday last week. Now, at the same time, the Sri Lankan Ministry of Foreign Affairs has announced the temporary relocation of the Sri Lankan embassy in Iran due to the prevailing situation in the region. The embassy has been moved from Tehran to the following address, which is Amini Villa, Kohistan Alley, Imam Khomeini Street, Ovlom, Maslat, Rusht. Now, 3 contact numbers have also been issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they are +98 939 205 5161, +98 991 205 7522, +98 936 636 0260. Now, these numbers are available on the Foreign Ministry website and also on the Newsfirst www.newsfirst.lk website as well. Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is urging Sri Lankan nationals currently in Iran who wish to return home or require consular assistance to contact the embassy using these details. Now, at the same time, Sri Lanka's Parliament is set to convene at 9:30 a.m. today, presided over by Speaker Jagat Wickramaratne. Now, the session will focus on the second reading debate of 2 key legislative proposals. Now, they are the National Minimum Wage Amendment Bill, the Budgetary Relief Allowances of Workers Amendment Bill. Now, these bills were initially presented to the Parliament for their first reading on the 3rd of June and aim to address pressing concerns related to worker compensation and economic relief. Let's move on to a story that has shocked Sri Lankan law enforcement. Now, the special committee appointed to investigate Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakone over allegations of abuse of power and misconduct has concluded testimony from 28 witnesses. The inquiry, chaired by Supreme Court Justice P.P. Sirasa, includes members Justice W.M.N.P. Idwala and National Police Commission Chairman Lalit Ekanayaka. Now, 2 additional witnesses are scheduled to testify after June 26th, while 15 witnesses supporting the IGP are expected to appear before the committee starting Monday, June 23rd. Now, the committee will convene daily from June 23rd to 25th at 9:30 a.m. to hear these testimonies. The Special Inquiry Committee appointed to investigate allegations of serious misconduct and abuse of power by IGP TMW Deshabandhu Tennakone convened for the 4th consecutive day yesterday to record testimony from 7 additional witnesses. The IGP's legal counsel R.S. Veeravikrama requested a postponement to prepare the defence, which was granted until June 23rd. Now, following the witness hearings, the committee is set to reconvene on Thursday, June 26th at 2 p.m. to continue with the proceedings. In a related story that has also shocked the prison system, a major scandal has emerged in Sri Lanka's prison system, revealing that several inmates convicted of murder and other serious crimes were illegally released under the guise of presidential pardons without proper authorization from the president. Acting Inspector General of Police Attorney at Law Priyantha Vigasuya confirmed that investigations conducted by the Criminal Investigations Department and the Department of Justice have verified that 247 prisoners were released across 3 separate occasions, Christmas, Independence Day and Vesak, without the President's formal approval. Among those released inmates were convicted murderers. The CID has uncovered that forged documents were used to falsely indicate presidential approval, and that the release occurred before the president had reviewed or signed off on the official pardon list. One of the most controversial cases involves a convict from Anuradhapura prison whose name was not on the approval list of inmates but was still released during Vesak. The scandal has also led to the remanding of the Commissioner General of Prisons. Now, 3 branches of a leading supermarket chain have been fined 200,000 rupees each by the Alutkade Magistrates Court for selling expired products. This is following investigations carried out by the Consumer Affairs Authority. The CAA revealed that during recent raids, expired goods were found on sale at multiple outlets belonging to a certain supermarket chain. Now, legal action was initiated and the court imposed a total fine of 600,000 rupees after the branches admitted to the violations. In a decisive move to curb the spread of the African swine fever, the Department of Animal Production and Health has issued a special gazette notification declaring all divisional secretariat divisions in Sri Lanka as either infected or at risk. The notification, signed by Director General Dr. Hemali Kotalawala, is in effect for a period of 3 months starting from June 13th, 2025. Now, something interesting is going to happen in the next coming days, a tradition that dates back to many centuries. Now, in preparation for the annual Asala Perahara festival at the sacred Ruhunu Maha Kataragama Devalaya, the entrance to the Kumara National Park will be open today to accommodate pilgrims arriving on foot from the northern and eastern province. Now, this pilgrimage is locally known as the Pada Yatra. This centuries-old tradition, revered by Hindu devotees, involves a spiritual foot pilgrimage through Yala and Kumara National Parks to reach Kataragama. Over 30,000 pilgrims are expected to participate in this year's journey. The pilgrimage route spans approximately 35 days, beginning in Jaffna and passing through key locations such as Wattapalai, Trincomalee, Virgal, Sittandi, Batiklo, Mandur, Tirukkovil and Okanda before reaching Kataragama. Wildlife officers will conduct a head count of pilgrims entering the park from the moment the gate opens until it closes, again ensuring safety and proper management of the sacred journey. Now, the Asala Perahara festival at the Ruhunu Maha Kataragama Devalaya is scheduled to commence on the 26th of June 2025. Now, in a heartwarming moment of community upliftment, a new clean water project will officially be handed over today to the students and staff of Maligatana Mahavidyalaya in Monoragala, thanks to the efforts of Gammadda. Maligatana Mahavidyalaya, a school that serves over 1,300 children, has long struggled with the lack of access to safe, clean drinking water. Teachers and students alike endure daily hardship, relying on limited and often unsafe sources for their most basic need. That changed on January 11th when Gammadda visited the village and launched a clean drinking water project to address the critical issue. Today, that promise will be fulfilled. The project was made possible through the generous sponsorship of Mantri Amar Singha, a resident of Borella, who dedicated the initiative in memory of her beloved daughter and husband. Her act of kindness has now become a source of life and dignity for an entire community. Now, in addition to the water project, Gammadda, in collaboration with Google Benevity, will also launch a nutrition program today aimed at supporting expectant mothers in the area. Another step toward building a healthier and more resilient future. This is more than infrastructure. It is a testament to compassion, remembrance, and the power of collective action. And that brings an end to this week's edition of the Breakfast Rundown. Until I meet you again on Monday, take care and stay safe.